Good vibrations.
All right, so I guess you could call this episode 78.5. It's kind of a Good Vibrations extra. The reason I wanted to do this is because I'm crossing over to the US to my good friend Ivan from Phoenix, who is the organizer of an upcoming event that you might have heard me mention. It's called the Truth, Mind, Reality Conference, and it's taking place on 10th of March. That's the way we say the date in the UK, in 2018. Now, you might have heard this dude interview me on my own show last year. He was the guest host when I was promoting my first Musical Truth book. And so today we're going to be asking him all about this event he's got coming up. And also listeners may have heard him calling into Mark Passio's radio show, What on Earth is Happening, when that was on RBN a short while ago. Ivan was a regular caller, and that's actually how we got to link as a result of both being listeners to that show. So it's really good to connect with him today, and let's find out all about what this event is going to contain. Ivan, welcome on, man.
Hey, thanks for having me on, Mark.
No worries, brother. So yeah, I'm getting very excited about this event, so I'm sure you must be too. So it's Truth, Mind, Reality. Maybe you just want to tell us what gave you the inspiration for putting this event on.
Well, basically, I'm a regular listener and one of the, I guess, sleeping masses that was out there. You know, this is going on now for like 10 years, my little waking up process. And as Mark has said, to know and not to do is not to know or not to care. So listening to Mark and David Icke and your work and Tessarian and, you know, just the regular, you know, names in the truth movement, conspiracy realms, there's a lot of information that I've acquired that's bouncing around in my head. And over the last few years, I've wanted to share that information with people. It's important, you know, knowledge that people aren't aware of. So I started a website back around 2012. I started a meetup group around the same time. A year or so after that, I started my own little podcast that I do once in a while. And then, you know, funny enough, about 3 years ago, when Mark Passio was doing his natural law seminar, I was out there doing that recording in Connecticut, and I told Mark I had an idea of something, you know, putting together something called Truth, Mind, Reality. And that's way back then, but I never really did much with it. And bringing it up to present day, you and I were speaking not too long ago about not having connected at this past year's Free Your Mind conference. I wasn't able to attend. And so you said that you would, you know, try to make it out here to Phoenix sometime next year. And we kept, you know, talking about maybe putting something together to have you speak. And just like that, it started growing. I finally decided to use that, you know, idea of the Truth, Mind, Reality conference. I asked you if you wouldn't mind, you know, if we just build on that. And you were, you know, hey, you were down for that. I reached out to a few known speakers out there and several local speakers. And one thing led to another, and now we have this conference that's a little over about 3 months away now. We have 3 months away. And it just started with a regular listener, you know, just me. I'm no big author or researcher or anything like that. Just, you know, exactly, Guy Next Door. That's the name of my podcast, Guy Next Door Speaks. And just someone who decided to do something, you know, instead of just sitting back and taking it all in and, you know, blaming everybody else, you know. So that's how this thing came about.
And that's the other thing, Free Your Mind. That's where you and I met as well. You were there in 2015 and 2016. I know you were unable to make the event this year, but the organisers of Free Your Mind have said that they're not going to put an event on next year. So there is no Free Your Mind in 2018. And so your event pretty much fills that gap. And it's not as if you set out to put on a replacement for Free Your Mind or a rival to it in any way. It's just the way things have panned out. So for people that have an appetite for this kind of information that are going to be missing that event next year, if they can get themselves out to Phoenix, obviously a different part of the country, but they will find much of the same information and many of the issues being discussed as they would have done at Free Your Mind, right?
Yeah. And the scheduling kind of indicates that I wasn't really looking to replace it, because this is in March and the Free Your Mind conference is usually in April. And that kind of, you know, in a way worked against the conference out here, because this is going to happen in the West Coast in Phoenix. in the Southwest. And anyone who follows any, professional sports knows Major League Baseball has their spring training season in March, and a lot of those teams are here in Arizona. So Arizona's going to be pretty full the month of March. So that's part of the reason why we're doing shows like this, to get awareness out early for people to make their hotel reservations early and buy their tickets early, so we can make sure we have everything set up before, having to wait till the last minute.
And the naming of the event, Truth, Mind, Reality, seems to be an expression of the Trinity that's inherent everywhere in nature. So, it's expressed as mind, body, spirit, and thoughts, emotions, actions. Is that what's going on there?
Exactly. Yeah, with the work of Passio again and all the other researchers, there's even, the work from Gnostic Media with Jan Irvin. He brought out the work of Gino Denning, the Trivium. And so it's funny how when you dig into the occult, whether it be the dark occult or light occult, you get this trilogy, this Trinity, and everything starts, in religion. You get with Christianity, the Father, Son, and Holy Ghost, or Holy Ghost replacing the feminine. We don't want to go down that path right now, but everything does, revolve around a Trinity, and it is your thoughts and your emotions and your actions, or in this case, is what we know or what is, and then processed in our minds, which becomes our thoughts, and then how we behave or what we speak into existence. So I tried to work that into a catchy little title and came up with that Truth, Mind, Reality. And anyone who's seen the logo that I had made for this, that also represents that. I used the colors, the blue for flame. So there you got a little bubble with the flame, which is thought or idea, and that's leading into the mind. So I had them put like the little wheels turning in the brain, so your mind is working, and then the mouth of the person is a little bit open with another little bubble coming out with like the universe or the galaxy. So as Marcus said, the universe is spoken into existence. So I try to convey that in the logo as well.
Sure. Let's get into some of the speakers that you've got on board then. And obviously the big news is that the headline speaker is going to be Mark Passio, as you mentioned. Happily, he confirmed just a couple of weeks ago, I think, quite recently. And obviously he's been through a pretty turbulent period in various aspects of his life over the past couple of years, as he started to address in some of his interviews. He's been through a transitory kind of period, but he really seems to be getting back on the map next year in terms of his plans. I know he's appearing at Acapulco in Mexico in February, and then obviously he's just confirmed for your event as well. So he seems to be regrouping and coming back with some new information next year.
And that was actually earlier this week, actually. It's not too long ago. That was a week ago today, actually, last Monday, that I was Mark reached out to me after I left him a message. This is the last few months we've been back and forth. Like you said, he's had his personal stuff to go through, so he wasn't very sure as to whether or not he can commit to this, which is why I was very explicit on the sites to put confirmed speakers on one list, people who were down already, and we had everything ready to go, and then a list of tentative speakers. That way we don't have any
let's not get that twisted.
Exactly, because we have experiences with other conferences of people being there, not being there, online, offline. So I wanted to make sure, hey, just go back and read what it says. These are tentative speakers. So, sure. But now everyone is confirmed. Now just working on all the logistics, get everyone's travel arrangements set up, and come March, everything should be good to go. But yeah, I was very excited to finally have Mark confirm. And it was evident that a lot of the people that follow these conferences, who they want to come out and see, because tickets did start going up. The ticket sales did go up, and the traffic to the website really went up once I started pushing Passio's, commitment on Facebook and social media.
Exactly. And has he given an indication of what subject he's going to be addressing?
Yes, he has. He's already given a title. He says his presentation is going to be called Pedogate and Media Mind Control. So that pretty much fits into what this is about, the things we take into our minds and how we think and how reality is and how media plays a major part in that process.
Sure. That's going to be great. All right, so the next speaker is Lenon Honor, who's a great dude. I've had lots of good conversations with Lenon on my podcast series. Great that you got him on board. Do you know what he's going to be talking about?
Yeah, I don't know if a lot of listeners are familiar with Lenon Honor's recent documentary. A few months ago, he released a documentary called Beyond Gangster Blackface, which initially started as a documentary on the rap group NWA, a critical analysis, and eventually that morphed into more of a social family manipulation kind of project, if you want to call it that. So from what he's told me, his presentation should be about how mentality and relationships manifest in our interaction with each other. So, again, that's part of what the conference is about. So it doesn't have to necessarily be about the media and, music, which is something I think that's more in your realm, but the relationships, how we think we should act with people, namely, a lot of the African American communities where, we get not to take it to the extreme, but, we tend to see a lot of bitches, hoes, and that kind of attitude going around. And we got to ask the questions, where does this come from? Is that a natural, evolution, or was that a manipulation? So that appears to be what Lenon's going to be addressing.
Yeah, for sure. Culture creation. That's
exactly.
Very much up my street. So Sonia Barrett is another former guest of my podcast series. What's Sonia going to be on about?
I brought Sonia on because of a documentary she also did last year called The Business of Disease. And as a lot of the conspiracy realm and truth movement people know, the health industry, medical industrial complex, if you want to call it that, there's a lot of lies and deceptions that go on with that. But not only regarding, medicine, it's our own way of thinking that we believe that we need the drugs and we need the x-rays and the scalpels and all this stuff to make ourselves, better. And Sonia's work, or her presentation, looks to address the fact that a lot of that healing comes from ourselves, how we think and how we behave with our bodies, namely, the diets that we live by, what we take into our bodies, what we avoid, and stuff to that effect. So that should be what her talk should concern.
Okay. So the remaining three names are ones that I'm not so familiar with. Mike Basic, Irene Pye, and Steve Cohn. Maybe you just want to briefly explain who each of these dudes is and what they're going to be bringing to the conference.
All right, these are three local activist speakers, so I wanted to make sure to, fill in some local people. And again, it makes it easier to fund the conference when we don't have to pay for travel for, everyone coming in from out of state. But Mike Basic, he has a group organization that he runs called Greater Phoenix Mutual Aid and Prosperity, which is basically a group that tries to get people familiar with working together without the dependency on government. So it's, a thing where I could help you out with something that you may need, and then you help me out with something I may need, and we help each other out and start cutting out the, third person, second and third persons, where it's just interactions between each other. So that's something more of a solution-based kind of talk on his behalf.
Sure.
And then Steve Kahn, he is someone who's put together quite a few events out here at ASU, Arizona State University, regarding 9/11. He's had Richard Gage out to speak, who's one of the founders of Architects and Engineers for 9/11 Truth. So Steve will delve into the area. Let's see. The surprising destruction of World Trade Center Towers 7, 1, and 2, and a summary of the best evidence for the use of explosives to demolish the three towers. So pretty much Steve's presentation will show again the difference between what the government says reality is, jet fuels, towers coming down, and the reality of it that steel structures haven't fallen in that way before or since 9/11. And he takes the scientific, approach and shows you that there are like 2,000-3,000 engineers out here, architects and engineers, that can prove that what we're being told by the government is BS. Again, truth, mind, reality.
Okay.
And then Irene Pye, let's see. I love what she sent me because her thing sounded very, very professional and cool. Let me see. This is what she told me. It will be an all-encompassing presentation on the areas most people are not aware of and how they've been so widely accepted based on the premise of Edward Bernays' propaganda methods, the rise of laws, the growth of the industry, and how social engineering has manipulated their acceptance. And she's referring to vaccinations. And I met her earlier last year at a local rally that was held out here for, children. I think it was like Children Against the Establishment or something like that. A bunch of families with children that were injured by vaccines and things like that. So that's the area she's going to be addressing. Again, there's truth, mind, and reality. Hey, vaccines are great. Go get them. And then the truth of it, no, they're injuring people. So. And then you missed one important speaker, Mark. That's yourself. What are you going to talk about at the conference?
Oh, some guy called Mark Devlin, yeah, as well. Well, I think the title that I'm going to give to my talk is going to be No More Heroes. And I'm not saying no more heroes as in I'm lamenting the fact that there are no more modern heroes. I'm saying no more heroes in the sense that we've got to stop externalizing our power to these cultural icons and these gurus and these people that we all look up to. I'm saying that we don't need any more heroes because the main focus of my work over the past couple of years has been looking into culture creation, social engineering, pretty much what you mentioned there with reference to Irene Pye, and lifetime actors. These people that are put into the public eye and they're given to us as political leaders or as gurus, consciousness gurus maybe, or spiritual gurus, or they're Hollywood actors, they're television presenters, or they're musicians, which is my specialist area of interest. And time again, when you actually do the delving into the backgrounds of these people, in terms of their families, the bloodlines that they so often come from, what their forebears did, what their ancestors did, and also their affiliations in terms of the groups and the organisations that they're connected to, which so often lead you into the worlds of the military intelligence, the CIA, MI6 and such. You find connections going into Harvard and Yale, Skull and Bones, the Bohemian Club, the Freemasons, all these different secret societies and mystery schools. You find out that these people are not who we thought they were after all. And so many times you can be caught out and deceived by them if you keep on looking up to them. So I'm making the point that anyone that's ever put out to us as any kind of household name that people have heard of, there's a reason why they've been placed there. They haven't got there through hard work. They haven't got there by random chance. They're there to steer culture off in desired directions and to have an effect on our value systems and our perceptions and our beliefs. And in my upcoming book, Musical Truth Part 2, I'm giving many illustrations of how that dynamic has played out in the music industry over the years and continues to do so to this day. And so the only solution to not get fooled, in the words of The Who, won't get fooled again, is to stop having these heroes and stop looking up to these people and realise that we can be our own heroes. We have the power to shape our own reality. We have the free will to bring into place any kind of existence that we want if enough of us want it that much, and we don't have to keep looking up to these people and putting them on pedestals. So that's going to be the crux of my talk, man.
Wow, excellent. Yep. See how all this fits together? We don't have to take it into the deep end of the pool as far as, the conspiracy realm goes, which is something I intentionally wanted to do, was to keep it to truth. We can talk about, alternate dimensions, parallel universe, paranormal, aliens, and that's all fine. But yet, when we really want to if I want to get to the real meaty stuff that you can actually see, feel, and touch, got to kind of keep it grounded, and it's funny because I have a coworker / friend who asked me about the conference, and he asked me, are there going to be people talking about aliens there? And I said, no, not at this conference. And he said, oh, that's a shame. I really want to know about aliens. And that's something that I'm noticing a lot in the last few years is there's a term that I stumbled across called conspiracy-tainment, how a lot of the conspiracy stuff has become entertainment. It's like a new genre. You have comedy, horror, suspense, now conspiracy. There are a lot of movies and TV shows putting what we can tell are truths in one way or another out there. And people think that watching the show Stranger Things or watching another show called, oh man, now I forgot what it was. But there are plenty of TV shows and movies that have a lot of truths in there, and people, right away say, see, the system's coming down. People are putting the work out there. But yet, it's a thing about putting out there things to keep people entertained that has its foot in the realm of truth. So people, get disarmed and say, see, everything's fine. The entertainment industry is telling us what's going on. We don't have to do anything. They told us about Roswell. They told us about multiple dimensions. They're telling us about the banks and money. So everything's fine. But yeah, nothing's really being done. You see, so that's why I tried to narrow this conference to, things that are real and accessible that we can address. I'm not bashing everything else, all the other categories. I'm just saying, there needs to be a place where we can get to the base foundation of things, and then from there we can move forward.
Yeah. Well, I leave the UFO and alien conferences alone myself. That's
right.
Not my thing at all. And there's enough of them out there. There's UFO conferences all over the world pretty much every month of the year. So if people want that kind of thing, there's enough events they can go to. I think it's good that, this one is offering some alternatives. So it looks like being a real busy day, man, fitting in all those speakers. And on your website, you say it kicks off at 8 in the morning all the way through till 9 at night. That's a lot.
Yeah. We'll have the auditorium available to us starting at 7 a.m. And I'm putting 8 a.m. as the doors opening at 8 a.m. That way, hopefully, most of the speakers will have tables set up for little Q&As and stuff for people to interact with them. And I don't expect the first speakers to be on stage until around 9 a.m. And, having been an assistant organizer for the Free Your Mind conference for 2 of the years, Free Your Mind 2 and 3, pretty much got a good idea of how these things go. So that's why I'm limiting it to just a one-day conference, because based on the experiences I've had with the meetups out here, yeah, there are a lot of people that say they know what's going on and say they want change. But when you put things out there, let's get together and do something, when it comes to the action part, that's where we get hung up. So I didn't want to. Yeah, I didn't want to put too much out there and say, 3-day conference, all these speakers and all this, money is going to be needed, and then fall, flat on my face with this, because most of this I'm funding myself right now. I'm I'm working a lot of overtime and stuff. So my days are kind of short to try and be able to fund this, and then hopefully recuperate a lot of it with the ticket sales. But yeah, so 8 a.m., the doors open. First speakers around 9 a.m. and there will be a lunch break of about an hour and a half, and then a dinner break in the afternoon of another hour and a half. And I'll have the speakers spread out, and then kind of in Free Your Mind conference form, Passio will be the one closing it out with hopefully an hour and a half to 2 hour talk, and that should end hopefully by 8:30, and leave a few minutes at the end for everyone to do a quick little mingle, and then head out the doors by 9. And sure. The event is at the Thunderbird Executive Inn and Conference Center, also called the Herberger Administration Building. Is the actual location of the auditorium, and all
global
the address, one global place. Yes,
great address.
You were going to bring that up. Yep. Well, actually, the name of the campus, this is like a sister campus to Arizona State University on the west side here in Phoenix. It's actually called the Thunderbird School of Global Management. Ooh, so those of us who are awake know it was like, that pricks up the ears. Sure but does. What they actually supposedly teach there is, hotel management, restaurant management, so how people, for students to go and manage other businesses. But,
So they have all these weird, strange people coming in for the day. That'll be the talk of the town.
I think it's perfect. Initially, I had the events planned at another more commercial hotel/conference room. But the logistics fell through with that, which led me to go looking, and I found this place. So again, synchronistically, the universe said, you know what, this place fits better with what you're trying to do. Global place, global management. It's like, well, what are we trying to do? Change global management. So there you go. Mm-hmm. But yeah, all this information is at the website, truthmindreality.com. And well, real quick here, some of the stuff I have on here is called the Truth Mind Reality Conference, Comprehending How Humanity Manifests Its Living Condition. So that pretty much sums it up there. And then a description of the conference. The Truth Mind Reality Conference is an attempt to harness the common thoughts, observations, and ideas of some of today's free-thinking researchers and speakers with the intent of initiating, guiding, and or continuing humanity's evolution from its current conditions. And then you've got a list of the speakers confirmed, and I will be the master of ceremonies. Thank you. Then you have a link to the tickets. Direct tickets can be bought at eventbrite.com. Just enter Truth Mind Reality Conference, and you can get the tickets there.
How much are the tickets?
Tickets are $35. I looked around. You know what? Initially, this was going to be, I would have loved to make this a free event for me to pay for everything myself. But then again, there are a lot of variables because it's a little expensive. And secondly, if people don't have to pay for it, they don't feel any real value or kind of, they don't feel stuck. They're like, well, if I can make it, I can make it. No,
but that is awesome value for money. Come on now, $35 for a 12-hour day, all those speakers, all that information, the opportunity to network with like-minded individuals. $35. Come on now. I mean, people spend that on a meal.
Yeah, a meal or a Blu-ray movie. Yeah, I looked around at some other conferences going on, and there's stuff that's $100, $150, $300. So it's like, yeah, they're much longer, whole weekend. But for one day, $35, it's just a little something to help, get this information out and for people to learn. Another thing I really wanted to do was to make it where it's buy one ticket. Well, you pay for one ticket, but it's an admission for two people. And I've toyed with that idea for a while. But again, it's that thing where people, I can buy one. And if this person comes along, great. If not, oh, well, it's not much of a loss. So, unfortunately, with the way things are today, where money is what they say, money talks and bullshit walks. So it's like, just play by the rules, quote unquote, and let's, do what needs to be done. But also on this site, I have a little disclaimer as far as food and outside drinks. If it's a very classy looking place and very state of the art. So they provide, if we pay for it, they provide the food and beverages. So the beverages will be provided, but, they have a eating place that's on campus, so it's within walking distance, and also quite a lot of different restaurants and food places that are within driving distance. So hour and a half for each lunch and dinner should be plenty of time for folks to go out and get what they want. And there's also a link to the hotel, which is on that same campus. Again, the earlier you make the reservations, the better chance you have of getting a room. Mention the Free Your Mind AZ event or conference, which is Truth Mind Reality, and they'll receive a discount, which is it's a big discount. I've seen other hotels in the area, and they're averaging $250 to $300 a night. With the discount, you get a $149 a night rate, which isn't, again, bad considering it's a peak point in Arizona during professional baseball season. Sure. So there's a link and a number on the site for everyone to make their reservations.
All right. And I would just encourage people who are going to be able to attend, or if they think there's a pretty good chance that they will, to just support this event by getting those tickets in advance. I've promoted events myself. I understand all the pressures that are on organisers that are trying to meet all the costs up front. You have to hire the venue, you have to pay for all the speaker lodgings and travel, as you say. And, it just really helps organisers out to give them a bit of peace of mind to know that there's a few tickets in the bag and these people are going to be coming. And it's just a great way to support what guys like Ivan are doing and all the speakers that are going to be there. And like I say, people think think nothing of spending $35 on a meal, and people spend far more than that to go and see a sports game or a rock music act or something like that. So this is awesome value for what people get. So please do support it. Truthmindreality.com is the website. I'm really looking forward to my first experience of your hometown, Phoenix, and I'll see everyone there 10th of March.
Yeah, it's a good time because it's still going to be nice and cool. The heat's not in here, so it'll be a nice maybe 60, 70 degrees as compared to the 120 degrees we have during the middle of the summer. So I know you, yeah.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Makes a big difference.
All right, Ivan, thanks for coming on today, man.
All right, thanks a lot, Mark.
This is just for fun.
I'm picking up vibrations. I'm picking up good vibrations. I'm picking up